Hey everyone, and welcome to Logic Talks. My name is Blake Grubbs. I'm the head of marketing at Logic.io, and I'll be hosting Logic Talks to bring you interviews with experts in the quote to cash space, in sales, and in the digital commerce space as well, to hopefully share some of their expertise with you. Really excited to share all of this with you. Hope you enjoy. All right, welcome everyone to another episode of Logic Talks. We are here with Thanveer Nazeeb, Senior Director of CPQ at Argano. Really excited to have Thanveer on. Our team here at Logic has been working with the folks over at Argano for a long time now, so we're excited to have Thanveer on to talk about CPQ, talk about the way that the industry is shifting in kind of where the space is heading. So welcome, Thanveer. Maybe just take a second here to tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at Argano.
Hey, thanks, Blake. Looking forward to the conversation. I oversee the delivery of CX applications at Argano, which includes CPQ and Oracle Commerce. I have worked in the CPQ code-to-cash space for more than 18 years now in different capacities, primarily leading the architectural aspects of the implementation. And over these years, I've been fortunate to work with multiple clients in the manufacturing, high-tech, retail, FinServ verticals, and have helped them design and implement the next generation code-to-cash processes. I have an engineering background, and I have enjoyed hands-on work on multiple CPQ technology platforms, including Oracle EBS, Configurator, FPX, Aptus, Oracle CPQ Cloud, Salesforce CPQ, and Oracle Commerce. That's my background.
Great. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And clearly a pretty extensive background in quote to cash, as you said, right? Almost two decades in this space. So that kind of brings me into my first question here for you, around kind of how buyers prefer to buy complex products today. Right? You mentioned your experience in manufacturing and high tech. And I think one thing that we're seeing in the industry is how that shift is happening. Can you talk a little bit about and kind of answer the question of, do you think the way that B2B buyers prefer to buy these types of complex products is changing? And how do you think that is changing? And how have you seen that change over your kind of years in the space so far?
Sure. Yeah. It's definitely changing, right? The expectations around the B2B buying and ordering experience is definitely changing. Similar to B2C buyers, B2B buyers want to be able to research, self-educate, evaluate choices, and avoid engaging a salesperson as long as possible. And more and more B2B buyers are looking for this digital enablement, self-service tools that empower them to understand and configure complex product solutions and be able to subsequently price them and order these products at their strategic price point or their negotiated price point, right? And I would also argue that this experience kind of extends beyond just the buying experience. It goes into the service realm as well. And, come to think of it, these expectations that the B2B buyers are having are not really unreasonable, right? Considering what we are experiencing in our consumer way of buying, while we interface with the Amazons and the Teslas of the world, where there's this plethora of content and intuitive and self-service capabilities that are being offered in these other commerce platforms. So in short, I think the consumer buying journeys have definitely influenced and have naturally set the bar for the business buying realm as well. And it's about time that we enable the B2B buyers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that shift we've seen start to get accelerated by things like COVID as well, right? As more and more people are just becoming more digitally native. So you mentioned that B2B businesses need to keep up with this trend. Now, how do you think and how do you see B2B businesses approaching this shift to digital commerce and approaching this shift to more digitally native self-service experiences?
Yeah, we are definitely seeing a few trends in our own B2B customer base, right? especially to your point with the onset of the pandemic. One of our B2B manufacturing clients in the agricultural machinery space just enabled direct consumer ordering capabilities, right? And for one of their complex products. And this is the first time that they've ever done that, right? So, so the businesses are adapting, and that's a great example of how commerce is opening up new revenue streams and channels. And some of our other customers are continuing to use commerce as a key strategy for from a customer retention and an acquisition standpoint as well, by enabling selling and reordering capabilities of their standalone or non-configurable products primarily. And another big trend that we are witnessing is that more and more B2B businesses want to be able to enable this complex product selling, right? We are their commerce and CPQ platforms. And this, in some cases, as you might know, is not very straightforward, but the intent and the drive is definitely there. And I'm positive that we are going to continue to see this trend take shape for the next few years.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you mentioned that you're seeing more and more of your clients hop on these shifts and hop on these trends that are happening. What would you say, from what you've seen with your clients, what makes a good commerce strategy for a B2B company, particularly those who are selling complex products? And what elements of that strategy would you say often might get overlooked, right? Especially as companies might be doing this for the first time, or are just early in their process?
Yeah, that's a loaded question, right? The short answer is that it all depends on where they are in this, where they are in enabling that capability. In the context of ordering complex products, many of the businesses have a very disconnected customer journey today. And there are different degrees to this fragmentation, if you will. Some are able to offer simple configuration capabilities. Some are able to take it all the way through complex configurations, but are lacking when it comes to pricing strategy or providing accurate pricing or negotiated pricing, right? Some are able to get past the pricing complexities, but are limited in their order intake capabilities. And depending on the stoppage point, now the buyers have to interface with the internal sales or their procurement team, and then take the journey forward. So now so the strategy then for these businesses is to take it to the next level, whatever it means to them, right? At a bare minimum, I would say they need to aim to identify a small subset of their configured products and enable the end-to-end buying experience. Now, as for the elements of the selling experience, there are a few things that come to mind, right? First and foremost is the user experience. The current configuration process can be very, very cumbersome, even for internal sales, right? So you need to be able to simplify that and make it more intuitive. And the focus needs to be on a guided solution selling that solves for customers' needs and problems. It should not be around just picking and choosing products or just configuring those in silos, but there's got to be a bigger application or a customer need spin to it. And talking about other user experience aspects, the experience needs to be super, super performant, right? And it needs to be supported on multiple devices or multiple form factors. And if you really want to take it to the next level, a visual rendition of the configured products is going to be a huge bonus. You could even extend it to some of the AR, QR capabilities that are available as well. So those are some aspects that come to mind from a user experience standpoint. And there are other key elements that you need to keep in mind as well. One is definitely pricing strategy. Businesses should be able to provide accurate pricing, timely pricing, and they need to they need to decide on what their pricing methodology is, right? Be it customer negotiated price, competitive price, or promotions, or what have you. Pricing is a very important factor when it comes to buying. So that needs to be definitely stressed on. Another element I would say is the content provisioning, right? B2B buying involves many stakeholders, and the information and the content needs to be very catered towards each of these targeted audience, and it needs to be available in different formats. Technical information for engineers, or whether it's value prop material or information for the managements and the higher ups. The information is very, very key, and the content and the presentment of the content is very key as well. And if you want to take it another level further, it'll be really a big bonus if you're able to bring in mechanism to compare your product offerings within the same business portfolio or against your competitor business portfolios as well. So those are some of the elements that come to mind.
Yeah, quite a few considerations companies need to make when making this transition, which probably explains why the transition is somewhat lengthy at times for some companies, right? So that leads me into my next question, right? With these complex transactions moving, as you've been talking about, more and more towards the self-service and digital commerce channel, right? The expectations of CPQ and more traditional quote to cash technologies has changed a little bit, right? How is that shift to commerce, or that shift that is happening to commerce, affecting the way that companies should be constructing their CPQ solution and architecting their existing quote to cash technologies?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's important to analyze some of the key reasons why the current commerce or customer journey is fragmented, and most likely they'll be able to categorize this into either a process issue or a technical limitation, right? And the businesses will need to keep these pitfalls in mind and be ready to make some tough decisions, if you will, while they build their next generation of tech and strategy and strategize on the new objectives. Now, from a strategy standpoint, I think the bottom line would be to operate with a customer first mindset, right? In this commercial centric business environment, customer experience definitely should guide and lead the Q2C strategy. And from all the way from configuring your quotes and providing pricing, all the way to invoicing and collections, asset management, and returns and reconciliations, businesses must be able to provide a very seamless and a self-service buying and a service experience that keeps our customers coming back. So that's really key, the customer first mentality. And if you really think of it, customers value the experience and the ease of doing business as much as the products and services that they are there to buy, right? Now, from constructing the tech standpoint, businesses definitely need to adopt some guiding principles there, some which are very, very foundational. Things that have really worked for us in the past are you adopt a modular or a Lego block design pattern where they can pick the right tools for the job and connect them via APIs, right? So that'll ensure a scalable IT landscape, which is future-proofed. From time and time again, we come across applications that serve the internal needs of the business, but you're pushing the envelope when it comes to making that the primary mode of engagement for external usage. So you got to be very careful and be honest with yourself as to, hey, is this technology or tool going to take us through the next 5 or 7 or 10 years, and support the external processes that we wanted to do, right? So that's number one. And then there's definitely got to be a focus on master data, because master data is very key. There are different applications within the IT ecosystem that rely on it and apply it. So that's a very key design pattern that needs to be addressed. But at the same time, that should not dictate or or it shouldn't compromise the agility in your business process. Right? We have come across many instances where, for example, the manufacturing BOM is very tightly coupled with the sales process. And that just has a snowball effect when it comes to building performant and intuitive solutions, especially for the end customers. So yeah, those are some of the thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see those challenges on the manufacturing BOM versus the experience that happens in the kind of in the system itself all the time. Last question that I had for you here, Thanveer, and this has been great. What would you say, there are a lot of things that you mentioned here throughout our conversation that companies should be or could be considering when it comes to evolving their strategy to really future-proofing their business by moving towards this more self-service, customer-centric trend. What would you say are the risks that companies face by not, ensuring this alignment between their CPQ and commerce strategy and just ensuring that buyer's journey is as frictionless as possible? What would you say are the risks of that for businesses today?
Yeah, there are definitely multiple risks, right? One, if you categorize it, one's the commercial aspect of the risk. Now, the combination of commerce and CPQ is obviously a huge revenue stream. So you're going to lose out on that revenue. And along those lines, you lose out the opportunity to upsell or provide value to existing customers, right? And you also lose out on improving your forecasting, your future demand planning, your inventory management. There's a ripple effect in terms of what you lose out on by not adopting that commerce CPQ strategy. And there are obviously implications on the customer satisfaction as well, right? If you continue to have a disjointed or a fragmented process, that's going to cost you from a customer satisfaction standpoint. And it also is going to eat up on your company margins, because now you have to go ahead and rely on external teams to be able to to handle the handoffs with your customer base and then take them through the rest of the journey. So there's definitely commercial aspects to having a disjointed experience as well. And the other things around companies that don't align commerce and CPQ, they sacrifice on the potential business intelligence and the strategic insight that they could gain by uniting these customer-facing engagement data sets, right? Be it with respect to products and services, new ideas on what to introduce next, or whether it's pricing strategies, or whether it's your customer behavior. There are lots of insights that you would lose out on. So I think in short, it's businesses are going to lose touch with customers, or they're going to lose to competition very fast if businesses don't interface commerce and CPQ.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Well, great, Thanveer. This has been awesome. Thank you for rolling through these questions with me. I think it's clear that for companies who are going down this road, now's the time, but that there's a lot of work ahead in order to get there. So thank you for lending your expertise here, and appreciate you joining us.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Blake. I appreciate it.